everyone, I got a little stash from the Woodend op shop, the Salvo's there in Woodend. That is one of my go-to places. I thought I'd just go through it, and they've given me some ideas for the pincushion that I'll make. So I've got $1 for a really old tape measure. I don't always want to break these up because I just actually like to have a few of them hanging up because I think they look nice. But, however, this might be getting a chop. I thought that this would be good because it's got this area here. This is one of my favourite colours too. And this just will be so good to use in the next journal, the next Roxy's Winter Journal. I got another one of these, so I might keep with the tradition of binding my book with something like this. And I just thought this was such a beautiful little fine work, just gorgeous. There you go. And I thought this was just adorable. Little Dutch girl, or German even, with the fir trees, little hearts. That's cute. I'll save that for a bit later. Now, I am thinking about my background and the painted background for June, and these were $4, and they were from, it's a set of 4 lace coasters from the National Trust in the UK. And I have no idea how old these are, but look, aren't they beautiful? And there's 4 of them. So I may use one of these for my background to dye. And this, see, this is where it doesn't make sense. This is $4, that's okay. But these little doilies or things, $4 for one of these with a bit of beautiful bit of embroidery on. And then this is $2, and look how big it is and how many bits of things you can get from it, like backgrounds or strips. So it doesn't always make sense, but a little hint. To me, a little hint is to pop into the tablecloth area, and so they'll do a runner cheaper than the doilies. So my thought is that in the couple of years, aside from lockdowns, that I've been heading out to the Woodend Salvos, they've started to put the prices up on these. They're a little harder to come by if you don't want to spend much money, but I thought for this, for $2, I'll get a lot out of it. It's fairly, it's about maybe 1.5 feet. There's just one little tiny stain there, and this can be cut off and thrown away or used. I don't know if I'd use it, maybe something that might work on a tag roulette. Now, I thought while I was there, I always try and get 1 book or 2 books and some doily tableclothy things to cut up. But I found this one and I just loved this cover. $2, and it's ripped and getting old. And it's this old, thick, lovely, I love this paper. This is one of my favourite papers. It's like, it's thick and old. It's got a slightly musty smell, but that's okay. I liked this in the front. I will probably put this aside for later because, as I said, if I'm doing this next book, I want it to be a bit bigger. So I've picked up this one for the larger size. So that was $3, and it's just I don't know that I'll use much of it because every child's book of dance and ballet, it's not necessarily, I mean, someone might love it, but it's not something I am going to use. There's a few little funny pictures that I might keep, put in my little ephemera stash. But in general, I don't necessarily want, I could probably use a bit of the music in something. But yeah, little bits and pieces like this might be good to hang on to. How to leave the stage. So this is going to be my winter cover for my Roxy's book of Christmas, winter, It's Australia, it's summer, so I may actually make it a book of summer. So I don't know. I'm waiting to see what the first video is like. So there's that. So I'm ready to go with that. Ready to go with the pincushion idea that I was talking about in my last tag roulette, and got some material to use for the dyeing background of June Roxy's. Now on another note, I realise every so often that I'm not doing much in the way of paper, using paper, and that's how I started, and I love paper. So I found this one, $5, a bit more expensive. Not really any use for the cover unless it's used for tags or something like that in junk journals. However, some of these are quite cute. They can be used in junk journals, but what I really got it for was these. And these are fabulous for making tags in junk journals. So you could hand paint them, whatever. Just cut them out, put them on your tag, maybe put the name. Oh, that's the name, Balm, that's Balm. And stick them on your tags. So that's what I got this for, these illustrations. So there wasn't too much of anything else really in the shop. A lot of people now go and scour the shops for things like this, so you've got to have a lucky moment to get a nicely, beautifully illustrated flower book or bird book. But I thought this one was worth it for the little bits and pieces. Now this was just one thing I thought was fascinating. So $2, but because I like postcards and stuff like that, I thought this was something I might use in, it's got a letter in it. I thought I would use this. I'm in Marguerite Miller's collage group, which you can find on, I'll put the link below. It's not Facebook, it's a different one. And this is all signed and everything. So these little envelopes with the stamps, I thought would be fabulous to use in collage, junk journal, all for $2, but they are actually, look, that's a bit sticky. And they've got an address. Wonderful. This is really good for background. Right, now one of the mistakes I've just made is I've sewn this in, so I haven't got it to use as my measurement. So I'm going to cut this. Put the tassels somewhere else. Sure that's the height. Oops, that's awkward, isn't it? Okay, so this is the height. We want it to be that wide. Near enough to the right size. Get rid of the raggy taggies. Okay, let's have a look at these. It is lace, so I'm assuming it's not plastic, it's like a cotton. So it should take dye all right. Might do that. Got to think about that heart that's going to go over the top. as well just use all the little bits and pieces I just got. Just take that pin out while I'm putting some things here. When I designed and decorated my own house, I had a lot of this yellow against white. Love it. Okay, I just grabbed a whole heap of little tiny scraps from my tiny scrap tub stash. These all lend themselves to be painted on or dyed in some way. That's a nice seam. That'll be a nice edge. I think I'll leave that under. Okay, what else? This is pretty awesome. Let's see if it's going to work or if it's covering it up too much. I guess if it's dropped down a bit, but then we're losing a bit. It's actually interesting because it looks like little hearts already. Maybe if I cut that, if it's here, let's see. Put a little bit of pink under, a little bit of yellow. This could go, I guess, underneath that. Although, what I like about this is it's very ratty-tatty edges. So, maybe that can go over there. And I just found this and I think, oh, I'm wondering if I'll cut my heart out of that because this is a part of an old tea towel. That's a part of an old, these were from a Lisa Matic pack. So that might happen, but that's not this time around. That'll be next time. Alright, I'm going to cut off these edges. do a removable stitch, then paint it, then work out how I want my stitching to be. So just a basting stitch. Good to get the pins out of the way. If anyone is interested, my latest pet sitting exploits, I think I've got 4 little bantam chickens to feed, and they haven't laid for a month. Well, yesterday they gave me an egg. That's apparently 2 eggs. 2 eggs this month. It's isn't it funny when you're not someone who has chickens or something, you just think, oh, that's exciting. People who have chickens probably are like, oh, same old, same old. But for me, it was like, oh, that's exciting. I just got an egg from a chook in its own backyard. How good's that? So I am going to have a fresh, well, I think what I'll do is see if there's any more today, and I might have a lovely omelette. How's that? I think that's exciting. Anyway, back to the task at hand. I am just going to get that little bit down and just put this through to the back and leave it loose so it can be pulled easily at the end. So I think that should have all of them down now. Now to the painting. Right, I'm back and I've got a tester sheet just first to just have a little go. Now I got these very, very cheap, and they're alcohol inks that are like a toner that you would have in your photocopier, so I got them somewhere in Asia. And I do believe, I think this one's gold. They've been sitting for a while and they're getting a bit old. So what I've originally did was put them into spray bottles and watered them down a bit into these, just got a nozzle. So I'm just going to show you the saturation and what you could do. Now with the gold I was using a pipette, however there's not really much left and I don't think I'll get, and I was dropping it. So what else? The thing about these ones is they're very liquidy. But they do spread out. And at the moment I'm using the front, but you could use the back. So what happens is the back, it's less saturated, but I thought I would just see how I went. These have been in the spray bottles for a while, so the nozzles may be a bit gunkied up. Oh no, not too bad. Blue. with a little bit of blue. So I think I've done enough on this to realise that I can probably do my background. Sometimes it's good just to have a little practice. I was practicing with the purple spray bottle before. Now, of course, on here I've got different. I think I'm going to, tend to want to use the lighter, more liquid ones. Excuse me. This. I don't want to oversaturate it, I don't think. So I won't probably use a spray on this. I just think I want it to be bright and colourful to match the heart. A few drips. Now I've used pink, yellow and orange. This blue will be making a bit of, possibly a bit of purple. I'm going to have to be very careful with it because it does come out quite quick. So it'll make a bit of green where there's yellow, maybe a little bit more purpley, although the pink is quite light, so let's just see. Definitely don't want to put in too much. Did not drip where I wanted it to drip, but as you can see, it's moving out. I think I'll just do a little bit of yellow in the little bits that are gaps. Make it a bit more sunshiny. There we go. And I'm going to leave that to dry and start looking at my heart. Now originally, well, I could actually use a bit of this and cut a heart out and put it in the middle, because this has got this beautiful pattern. The other thing I had thought, if I can find it, was possibly to use a bit of this as a contrast for a heart. So I've got two options. So I think the first thing I'll do is let these dry, because if I want to cut a heart out of this to test it, it just needs to be dry, and it is alcohol ink, so it won't be too long. Okay, so this one's dry. I'm still waiting for the background to dry because that was quite a bit thick on. So I've used my water marker and I've just drawn a heart. So I'm going to cut a heart out of this and then a heart out of that coloured background, and just have a little play with what works. I'm thinking I might tuck under the edges, or I might use a little bit of the Bonder web. Have a look. Right, that was one idea I had, and I just was messing around and thought I preferred it here on this one. And I've deliberately just hand drawn them and not made them necessarily symmetrical. So I've got that for an idea for a heart and that for an idea for a heart. And because there's a lot of this, I could cut another one out if I wanted. Now, this is still feeling wet, but I can at least have a little idea I mean, I like that because it's really contrasting to the background. I guess this blends in a little bit more, but could be embroidered on to make it stand out. I do like that. Maybe. Give this a background a little bit longer to dry. I'll start stitching before I put the heart on, but I just definitely wanted a contrasting heart. And I like that, it's got flowers. So I'll be back when it's dry fully. All right, I think it's fairly dry now. So I thought I would use some of these nice bright colours to match the bright colours. It's very rainbow, this one. So my aim is to get all of the little bits and pieces down, and I want to take out the stitching there that's holding everything down. This one's just a little bit harder to get through. This is a good little project to do with all these bright colours at the moment, with it being so cold and wintry here in Australia. So I think I'm going to do random stitches that just give little bursts of colour, but also hold down all my pieces. So especially effective using the lighter colour when there's a dark area, and probably a darker colour through the lighter areas. It's a bit like a seed stitch, but quite large seed stitch. So I'm going to continue with that over everything, and I will come back to do the heart. Alright, so I've got a bit of background orange and yellow I've done so far. I want to bring in some blue and some green, but I've got enough done that all of the pieces of material are now sewn down, so I can remove the tacking. Sometimes you just have to work out where it comes from. Alright, so all the tacking's done now. Next step is the heart. Alright, now while the little iron is heating up, I've cut a little bit of the actual interface from the Bonder web to the same size as the heart. And I'm just going to put it on over the top here and just use this backing as a bit of protection. Warm. It's pretty well stuck down. So I'm ready to embellish this now. Now I think I might keep these little threads that were the tacking thread because they've got a bit of dye, so they're multicoloured. Now I've just got a bit of black cotton. And I'm just going to do a little running stitch all the way around the outside. Try to make it tiny. And I'm going to go all the way around. Interestingly enough, when I put the water-based pen on the back and cut it out, I didn't think it would show through, but since I've ironed it on, I can see bits of this blue here. So I probably should have washed that. I didn't. I've put it on, and maybe the heat has brought it out a little bit more. That's just how it is going to have to be though. So I'll come back, I'll do a little bit more of this straight stitch and seed stitch in the background with different colours and finish going around here. Maybe I'll find something else to do on the heart as well, and then I'll come back with the finished result. Alright, so I realise instead of it being stretched out over a few parts, I've done all of it in one go, so that's okay. So I've ended up putting around some orange French knots, a couple of French knots up here, some crosses, and tried to always contrast the colour. I'm actually going to scan this so as I've got it as a printable, and let's have a look. It will be going here, May to June. Still haven't decided whether I'm adding another little bit in here or whether that will go on the back of here, but that can be for next time. Okay, well, that's it for me for coloured fabric painted background and a heart. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.